Hello again. I wanted to do a deep dive on the piano roll and show you some of the neat things that you can do in the 4-track sequencer. So let's dive into it. I've loaded up the first track with a super cartridge instrument, and the sound font I've selected is the electric piano. I've added a chorus to it and a tape delay. Here's what it sounds like. Um, yeah, so we're in the mixer view. Let's go over to the sequencer view, and you'll notice that we're presented with a grid of cells. You can click around on them. You can take each note and resize it. When you press play, it will loop. You can expand and retract the number of bars in the loop, and you can do that from the edit drop down as well. You'll notice there are a few more options in the edit drop down, so you can go up and down octaves here. You can change the subdivision of the grid, and I should also note that you can scroll through the octaves by just clicking and dragging the note names of the piano roll. So yeah, that's the basics of how to enter notes and change the bar length and that sort of thing. Let's talk a little bit about your options with the cursor. So if I take these notes and I select them, I can actually harmonize them from a right click or a control click for Mac. Let's go fourth up. So you can do some harmonization type solos. If you right click on a note name, you're presented with a bunch of fill options. This is really useful for drums, so let's illustrate that. If I right click on kick, I can put 4 on the floor, and I can do the same by adding eighth notes to hi-hats. But I just want to show you another option I've added here called the Euclidean fill. And in the Euclidean fill, it will use Euclidean sequencing to present you with like a bunch of different rhythms that have been discovered. I mean, they were not discovered around the world. They've been there. It's just that we've found a way to distribute notes across a certain number of pulses. And this gives rise to some very interesting rhythmic patterns. So this is one that I feel like everyone has heard or used this in their own music. So there's like a lot of stuff you can do with this Euclidean sequencing and fills to quickly come up with drum beats. So let's just clear this out for now and go back to the piano roll. So now that you know how to enter notes, do fills, change the note length, and edit the piano roll loop, let's see what you can do with quantizing and recording. So let's make sure quantize is off for now. Good. We can go back to the mixer, and we should arm our track and set our metronome. Let's just check the speed. Cool. So now I'm going to hit record and then just play some stuff. I'm going to go down an octave. Cool. So let's turn off the metronome and let's see what happened on the piano roll. All right, so you'll notice there's this distribution of notes. It's sort of on time, but I came late for a couple of the beats, like 5 and 6. So what we can do is we don't even have to select everything. We can just hit quantize, set the level to 16 notes, and apply quantization. And you'll notice that the notes get shifted over to the nearest beat. Cool. So yeah, quantizing allows you to line up to the grid, but if you want, you can also swing what you've recorded. I don't know if swing is going to work super well because like everything is falling kind of on the beat. So let's make some more random notes and then add swing to it and see what happens. So are we still armed? Yep. And 4. Okay. So now if I quantize and then I enable swing, you're going to notice that some of my accent notes get pushed a little bit. And this can add I mean, this is not like an amazing example or anything, but this can add a sense of movement to your phrase. Yeah, so that's quantize in a nutshell. I think the last thing I want to talk about, we could save the compose dropdown for another video because there's some deep things that can happen with it, is just the scale. So like you can select your scale here and it will restrict the note names that are presented to you. Obviously you can keep the notes that were recorded in other scales if you change scales, but it allows you to just maybe like more freely explore the grid without having to worry about selecting the right notes because it will always kind of sound good if you want to stay in that key. Obviously, you don't have to have a particular scale set up here, and you can just go into the chromatic scale type and it will present you with all the notes. But it can be useful. I'm definitely a fan of setting up the scale and just kind of forgetting it. Cool. So I think that gives you a pretty decent overview of like the major capabilities of the piano roll. Obviously, we didn't touch on the compose drop down because the chord palette is a pretty deep component of all this, like on its own, as is the random generator. But I think this should get you started and feeling comfortable with making whatever adjustments you want to make to your clips. Just I guess as a final note, like I probably said earlier, when you right click and get the context window for the piano roll, you'll see all these keyboard shortcuts listed. There are also additional keyboard shortcuts that you should be aware of here, and you can get to them through the menu, or you can click keyboard shortcuts here, and this will show you the musical keyboard for layout, octave up and octave down, arming the track and starting recording. And you'll find that if you are in the habit of just recording and arming and whatever, you won't have to use the mouse as much as if you were just going to like edit the notes manually. So that's all for now, and thanks for watching. Hope to hear from you in the comments below. Thanks.